Well, with that little sign of recording in progress, we know that we're ready to begin our meeting. And we've been looking forward to this for such a long time. All during this year, our 25th anniversary year, we've been working to try to bring Healthy Bones forward a little bit more. So this is a chance to do that. I'd like for our meeting to last about an hour, probably half an hour on the new manual, 15 minutes on the masterclass, which I sent to you yesterday in the email, and then about 15 minutes for questions. Since it's being recorded, we're so fortunate because we'll be able to check over what we've gone over. And if you have to leave because of an appointment coming up, you can always catch up with what is going on. I keep hearing this little beep beep every time somebody comes in, but I guess that will just be about what we have to do. So I'd like to begin with something that I came across just about 2 or 3 days ago. And it's the idea that you ask yourself, what is the sound of one hand clapping? And actually, the sound that you hear is silence. And you might interpret that as isolation, loneliness, maybe desperation. So in a sense, I look on us as peer leaders in Healthy Bones as that other hand reaching up to provide the applause and the affirmation that everybody needs. So as peer leaders, you have a major role in other people's lives, helping them become educated, more healthy, and safe. So it's with that thought in mind that I welcome you and want to thank you so, so much for all of the things that you've done through the many years that you've been leaders. What I'd like to do now is to go to our presentation, a slide presentation. So I'll share my screen and open it up. And I'm hoping that you see only this. I guess I'll have to ask somebody if they can see the whole screen with this presentation. Oops, sorry, that's the next one. Okay, right here. Okay. So I hope that you do see that. Oh, and here it is set to the last slide instead of the first slide. So here we are with our Project Healthy Bones big day to introduce some of the things that are new in our program. And it's really like a grand finale for our 25th anniversary year. The purpose of our meeting is to review the updated participant manual, introduce you the master class, and discuss ways that this information can be used in your class. And your ideas will probably contribute a lot to that. First of all, the new manual is, sorry, something that you've received from me in the past couple of days, and you probably have received it from Heather, who sent it online even a couple of weeks ago. The first thing you'll notice is the appearance of the new manual. It has our new logo, which you can see right there. And the logo is also available in Spanish so that we can promote the program with those who are Spanish speaking. A little note, the Department of Human Services, the Division of Aging Services, is still working on the complete Spanish translation of the new manual. And all of the versions and sizes of the logo will be available in the digital library that we are almost finished building. We're going to present that to you in early December. You might have noticed in the manual that the cover page is updated. There is the use of color and graphics to make it so much more inviting and informative. We've used, as we always have, large print to make it accessible to those who have limited vision. The manual is much more concise this time, 84 pages versus the former 118 pages. I'd like to add that we are still working toward having the models, the illustrations in the manual, reflect the diversity of our participants. But it's not the kind of thing that we've been able to accomplish yet because of certain technical limitations within our own program. But you'll see that there will be an update with something that brings in the diversity of our people. Exercises and education, those are the two big points that we are going to discuss today. So in terms of the exercises, There are small changes in the pages that introduce the program. I think that's like pages 6 to 12. And then there's a new introductory page for each exercise section. For example, breathing, posture, balance, strength, stretches. And I'll show you one of those so that you can see what it's like. A couple of new exercises. If you haven't seen the exercises, you're going to love them. Actually, it's because they're stretches and they make us feel so good. And we've changed the setup on 2 exercises, which is very easy for us to do and for you to incorporate in your class. With respect to education, this is a big step forward. We're trying to bring education into our classes in new ways. If you think of always going to a book or pages that are in black and white, you see that that's not the way we learn today. Sorry. What we usually do is to consult something that's more dynamic, and we're going to show you how you can do that. We have the same topics as before. There were 7 of them, but we merged a couple and we've added something on bones and stress management because that's an important part of our lives. Bones, knowing how they're formed and made and grow and subject to fracture is important. And we all have a lot of stress in our lives now, as much as we can bear sometimes. So here are the topics and the suggested timeframes that if you're discussing educational topics in your class, you may want to spend on them. The first is bones and osteoporosis. You might spend 3 sessions on that. And it could be osteoporosis and osteoarthritis, osteoporosis in men, osteoporosis and things along that line. The next one is how to diagnose it and treat it. Again, 3 weeks because, and you'll see we have the topics suggested. So this is just a general overview. How do you interpret a bone density test? Is that as good a test as other tests that you might have heard about? What are the new medications? What is the new feeling about taking medications? So all of that is available, you'll see as we go through this. Nutrition, 4 weeks, because we all know there are new food labels. We want to know as much about calcium and vitamin D as possible. There are other nutrients that are important, protein, for example, and you'll see how easily you're able to fill 3 classes with just a few minutes talking about those, or 4 weeks, I'm sorry. Exercise, 3 weeks, stress management, 2 weeks, falls prevention, about 2 weeks, and safe movement, 1. And as we go through the slides in the program, you'll see a little bit more about those. In our exercise section, it is pages 6 to 12. I guess maybe I should step back and say, if you can spend maybe 20 minutes at your table, or in your home with a cup of tea or cup of coffee, and just look through the pages, you'll see some of the differences. I was going to use a little analogy with us before we started talking, so I'll do it now. Let's say that, you've got a nice comfortable pair of tennis shoes, but the tread is getting a little bit low. It's getting close to winter and you decide that you're going to get a new pair. You like the brand, you like the feel and everything. So you go to the store and of course you see other models. And it's not that you're going to change brand, but you see a tennis shoe that's just like yours, but it has a wider toe box, more arch support, different color. So you say, I think I'm going to go with this because it will probably be good. I can trust it, but there's some new things that I want to take advantage of. And that's what we're doing here by the changes that we have in these various pages of the manual. So the things I'd like to point out to you that are different from what were in there before are these. The use of a rolled hand towel on your chair for the leg lift, so it makes it easier for you to have your foot be raised and bring it up and down. This is where on page 6 we say it's important to wear closed-toed shoes so that you know that's in the manual. On page 8, we're trying to use a very supportive tone about when to use weights and when to increase them. So there are personal factors that will guide your decision. It's not your participant alone, it's not you. It's the things that are part of their life that would encourage them to increase the use of their weights. We recommend using weights after the 3rd class, so that means at the beginning of the 4th class, which is 1 week sooner than we had said before. There's a lovely part about the use of weights if a participant has an injury. So let's say that you have a shoulder injury, or it could be a wrist injury. I'm just taking the upper body. You can still do, for example, the shoulder rotation with one arm, even though the other arm should be still because of the injury, because even doing it with one arm kind of communicates to the other arm what it could be doing and will be doing when it's better. So that's a little change from the past. On page 10, we modified the exercise intensity scale to make it a little bit easier to follow and more natural in terms of the kind of work that we do. Heather included a new warning sign of overexertion page, which is really very important. And on page 12, if you were doing classes during COVID, you might have known that we suggested not counting out loud because people were wearing masks and it was hard to breathe. But now we really want to encourage everybody to be counting and to be counting out loud as we've done in the past. One of the lead coordinators suggested that we consider using a metronome, which you can do just by drawing it up, on your cell phone, and put in metronome, 47 beats per minute, and you'll hear the click, click, click. And that's the meter that we would want to use for 1 and 2 and 3 and hold. So you'll know if you're counting too quickly or too slowly. You can just get it right, even just practicing, even before class. It just helps you know that you're on the right track for counting. There is also a new emphasis on the chest and pectoral muscles and our pelvic floor muscles. One of the reasons that has come up is that Anita Van Wingerden, who is a professor at Rutgers in the School of Health and who teaches physical therapists, has been part of our whole program now, and even the modifications in the manual. And because things have occurred in the past few years where we're using our devices more, our shoulders are pulled forward much more, and our pectoral and chest muscles have atrophied, and that puts strain in our back. So if we always try to think now of having our shoulders back, opening our chest, it helps us because our lives have changed, kids' lives have changed, adult lives have changed, not just ours. And we want to try to have the best posture we can so that we don't start leaning forward. And the pelvic floor muscles, that was a new term for me up until about a year or two ago. But those are muscles that are in our body, in below the stomach, that serve almost as a hammock to hold up the other muscles that we want, our core muscles. And remember, our core muscles are important because they support our upper back, our upper body. So it's not just having a flat abdomen or whatever. It's really being healthy from our middle, taking it up. And there are introductory pages for each exercise group: posture, balance, strength, flexibility. I forgot to include breathing, but that's in there. And so the next slide will show you what I'm referring to. So, for example, when you come to, in your manual, that's the exercise part, you'll come to a page that says Project Healthy Bones, overview of posture, or it could be strength, or it could be flexibility. So it tries to give you a very short sentence like good posture makes you feel comfortable, balanced, and relaxed. Be mindful of your head, spine, neck, shoulders, and pelvic floor muscles. And here's an illustration of that pelvic floor muscle right there. And the idea that these are the muscles that you can use. How do we bring posture into our Healthy Bones program? So there are just 3 little paragraphs about that. And then what are our posture exercises? The head tall, the standing back bend, the chest and shoulder stretch. Now, you who have been peer leaders for such a long time, you know this, but those who are participants or those who are new participants in a new class will really appreciate this because it gives them a structure for the reason why we do our exercises. Now, let's move on to the exercise section. As I said before, we have that new emphasis on the pelvic floor, chest, or pectoral muscles. And the exercises that we've added are in our stretch section. They're very simple. For the ankle, and we'll show you this in the master class, so we don't have to go into it in too much detail here, but you'll see that it's very easy to understand and do, and especially in the masterclass, you'll see how that's illustrated. So it's ankle flexes up and down, ankle circles. Then to move on to your finger, hand, wrist, or arm stretches. We do that, let me see, there we go. We do that again in an illustrated manner. There's flexibility in the exercises you use. I see that we forgot to mention a couple, but for example, you could be holding your elbows at your side. I think we may illustrate that, and then turn your palms up and down, just so you have turning in your wrist area brought about by your wrist rather than your arms moving back and forth. So those are the simple exercises there. And then a lovely, lovely set of exercises that's called the prayer pose. We'll show you that in the video very soon. In terms of the heel raises and the tandem stand, this is where we change our setups. Before, we've always done the heel raise twice, sometimes once on one foot and once on the other foot. Or it could have been the first time on both feet and then maybe 4 and 4. What we're doing now is bringing that back to one set of those so that it saves time for building in those stretches so that we're not exceeding the program too much. And it's a better balance with our toe raises. And actually, one of the reasons why it's good to be using both feet as we come up is because it strengthens our toes as well as our calf muscles, which is one of the benefits of the exercise. But having strength in our toes can help us possibly avoid stumbling. And then the next exercise is the tandem stand. And in my classes, we say now that this is a cognitive test because it's a change from the past. So in my classes, we had always moved our right foot forward and back, forward and back, forward and back for the 8 repetitions of the exercise. So the left foot was never in a position leading us. So what we've done is to suggest this. In the first 4 repetitions, our right foot moves forward and back. So it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Then we move our right foot back, our right foot forward. But when you come to the end of the counting of the 4th repetition, then all you need to do is to move your left foot back, and it's in the right position, and then your left foot forward and back. So you'll see it's really easy to do, but benefits are that it improves our balance and coordination. So it's a simple thing, but it's very helpful. Now, what I want to do is to move on to the education so that we can talk a little bit about this. In truth, this is a big step forward. And the reason we're doing it is that we have now some skills and experience using smartphones or tablets or whatever, so we can do this. And there are so many good, trusted sources that we have available that are full of wonderful information. So here, for example, are just a few of the sources that you might see. First of all, the Department of Human Services has a website that's full of things for us, and that will become our digital library. Build Better Bones by the International Osteoporosis Foundation is my favorite because as soon as you click on that, you have the choice of seeing 3 topics: information about exercise, information about nutrition, information about home safety. So it's not that you have to look around for things. They are right there. I'll be showing you an example of that. The Bone Health and Osteoporosis Foundation has a program that's called Your Path to Good Bone Health. So you can get into programs as well as websites. Bone health and so on. So I'll just go through these, but these we have in the manual so that you'll see them, but you'll just know that there are a lot of wonderful sources. The CDC, for example, the Department of Human Services is in there again. National Institutes of Health. So Mayo Clinic is a good one. National Council on Aging. So there are many trusted sources. Now, what I'd like to do is to try to have you see, I'm trying to see, like I'd like to be able to have my whole screen be open up. I wonder if I can just, for a second, let's say if I press play. Okay, so that's better, isn't it? You can really see everything that you want to. Okay, so here we are at that point. So do you remember our old calcium challenge, our calcium diary? And we would say, oh dear, it's so hard to figure everything out. So here's a way that we can do it with digital technology. I'm just going to click on the Build Better Bones. Can you see
Yeah.
anything now?
Yes.
Whoa, thank you so much. I mean, that's wonderful because you're going to love this. So we'll quickly go to our little food basket, to our nutrition guidance. And in our food basket, there are things about vitamin D, proteins. I'm going to go to calcium because we used to have that old calcium diary. And when I click on that, it gives me a lot of information with just one click. How much calcium do you need? What's recommended? Are you getting enough? Which foods are rich in calcium? All kinds of things. But let me go back to what did I see here? A calcium calculator. So I'm just going to click on that. You can see how easy it is to do these things. So I need to tell it that I'm a woman. Let's say our average age is 70. We've been diagnosed with osteoporosis or osteopenia. And then it says, what is your calcium intake in a typical week? So I'm not going to choose supplements because I'm trying to get the calcium from food. So let's say that I have a glass of milk each day, and I don't drink any other kind of milk. Yogurt, I like yogurt, so I'm going to take that maybe 4 times a week, I like a lot of cheese, so I'm going to take some, I like mozzarella, so I have that maybe twice a week. And I usually have a little bit of cheese in a sandwich, maybe once a week too. Desserts, whoa, I see some ice cream. Let's pretend we're big ice cream addicts and we have it 7 times a week. That's not the most healthful, but it's good. I eat eggs twice a week, so sorry. And I have chicken, let's say 3 times a week, and fish maybe 3 times a week also. And I like lentils. I have them maybe twice a week in a salad. I'm a big pasta eater, maybe 4 times, I'd say. I have rice. So you're just going through these very quickly to see what you have. Fruit, oranges, maybe 4 times a week now because of it being in season. Currants, I don't eat some of the other things. Raisins I do, so I'm going to have that maybe 3 times. Kale once, let's say, or twice, let's say. So you just go through here and you choose the food that you eat. And let's say nuts. And now look at when I see this, I see that there's a lot more calcium in almonds than in walnuts. But I do take walnuts every day. And I might change to having almonds more often. And I have a quiche, let's say, once a week. So I'm going to calculate my intake. And it tells me right here that from the foods that I selected, I'm getting 783 milligrams of calcium. And how much do I need? 1,200. So one of your participants can do something like this very simply, and it's kind of fun to do it. And all of that calcium challenge, calcium diary is completed. It gives me other things. You may not be getting enough calcium. And so here are ways that I can get more of it, and it tells me what I've chosen. So you can see how handy that website is, right? Okay, so I'm going to go out of that website. Great. And then I wanted to show you one other one. The nutrition source from Harvard is a miracle. I'm just going to click on it right here, open it, and it says, here I am. I can give you information on all kinds of nutrients. Now, this is a website where you have to go a little bit further because it's not giving you right away calcium. I didn't ask for calcium, but I can go up here to search and ask for calcium. And here again, it gives me different things, calcium and milk. But I'm going to go to this one because I see calcium as first. And look what you see in terms of information about calcium that you could share with your participants. I even see chia seeds here. This is interesting. And recommended amounts, calcium and health, all kinds of things that are really wonderful sources of information. And all of this, of course, is being recorded, but we'll give you the links for these different things. And I'll close that. And here's one of my real favorites. It's interested in seeing what's in your bones? So I'm just going to look at that. Open it up. And in truth, it's for kids. You can see it's also in Spanish. So here's what I see, a slideshow with what is inside my bone. Remember we talk about cortical bones, trabecular bones. Here it all is. It's big print, which is really handy. So you can see if you have problems seeing things, you can see very well with it. What are bones made of? All kinds of wonderful things that can help adults as well as children learn something. It even tells you how to pronounce certain things. We may not need that, but other kids do. So I'll close that and we'll go to the next slide. Boning Up on Osteoporosis. This is a terrific resource. I'm just going to open it right now. It's a booklet. 85 pages that those of you who were able to attend the I know, Kathy, were able to attend the meeting, in August, got a copy. And it's easy to come down here and just look through the table of contents. It has so many things. I hate to do this because this is almost like a woman's thing to do, but let me come down to, well, they have one page on how to dress if you happen to have kyphosis so that you feel and look better. Usually kyphosis means that your shoulders are, forward and your belly is a little bit extended. So it even tells you how to dress, But if I just come down to some of the exercises at the end, like 45, 46, let's see. Right here. For example, safe movement, exercises for daily living, gives you information about it. And I know that you've seen these illustrations before, but it gives you so much more wording about it. For example, sitting. It's important to have your feet on the floor, and it tells you why. It's just so full of the most friendly information. I'll close this. And if you, for example, go to this website, which is in there, you'll see that it's a whole program. So Lindsay West from the Bone Health and Osteoporosis Foundation is talking about, are you at risk for it? You've been diagnosed, what's next? How to manage it. And it's, for example, little programs of maybe 10 minutes or so telling you what you might want to know. And this one I love too. This is from the National Institute of Health. I mean, it's like, you might think of it as being a source that you wouldn't even want to go to, but look at this. Adults, are there falls and fractures in older adults? And what causes falls? All these different things. So if you're having an educational discussion in class, you have so much wonderful information you could just refer to. Steps to take to prevent falls. And so on, what to do if you do fall, how to get up. So the transition from black and white copies to the world of color is really something that your participants will love. And remember when I spoke at the beginning about just having one hand clapping? So if you're not very good with technology, I bet there's another peer leader or a participant who can help. So you don't have to worry about it being a big, difficult transition. It's full of wonderful, wonderful things. Now we get to the master class. This is really terrific. Excuse me. And I wanted to talk to you about it a little bit. And I think that I can press play and then you'll see things much bigger. Okay, good, there we go. So in 2013, Julie Madsen from Parker gave us an hour presentation on how to do the exercises because she was a personal trainer, an exercise leader, and so on. But this year we did it again, and it was led by Dr. Anita Van Wingerden, who is a physical therapist. She is also the chair of the Interagency Council on Osteoporosis. The video was produced many times, many iterations by Delia and Manny Vince-Cruz. The demo team, Carol Panella, Maria and Sarah, who were on the program, and I was the voice setting things up. So in the masterclass, every exercise is set up and demonstrated once, followed by an explanation of the muscles used, the benefits, and the reason for doing them as we do. It's clear, professional, supportive, respectful, encouraging advice. I have to tell you that as a long-term peer leader and as a human being, I am so glad and so proud of Anita for giving us a path forward or explanation of the exercise that respects us as, maybe you can say, seniors. It's not that we're expecting perfection or that you can do it perfectly the first time. It's really showing us how to do the exercises in a very supportive way. And how can you get this? Let me just try to review this little part right here. There's a format that's called MP4. It's what's used on almost everything that you're sending back and forth. And it has it as a complete master class, which is about 48 minutes long. There's a version that's a heavier or a larger version, so you can project it onto a big TV in your, let's say maybe in the center where you have your class. There's a smaller version which you can download more quickly for your smartphones, for your laptops, so that it doesn't take too much time or too much space. It's available also as individual exercises. So each exercise is broken down, and it's broken down into sections. So for example, you may want to show that in one of your classes on the large screen, and it would just be the posture exercises, or maybe all of the balance exercises or the stretches. So it's very handy and very accessible. We have it, in a sense, in a protected access. I think that you can understand that we don't want the whole world to have the masterclass presentation, because, for example, we just realized somebody told us that there was no mention of the fact that you keep your foot moving through the exercises or your arms, because we were only doing it once. So it's really designed for us to be used. And what we're hoping is that we can invite you into this new digital library, and you'll have a password. It could be Kathy Bayman, it could be Eileen McEnroe, it could be Healthy Bones, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a big, special one. And that gets you in there so that you can have access to all of the things that we're putting in there to use for our education purposes. And I do want to say that the masterclass has always been intended to be used and shared with participants, as well as our peer leaders. Hey, this is good. We're ahead of schedule. Our peer leaders and our lead coordinators. So that's it. And what I'd like to do now, I think I'm going to have to say I'm going to stop screen sharing. And wait a second. I'm going to stop screen sharing right now. But what I'm going to do is to open it again so that I can show you examples of the masterclass. So here we go. Are you able to see this? Wait a second.
Yes.
Okay, great. Oh, that's wonderful. Like when I see my screen, it's kind of like, oh, so I'll put it right here. And so we're going to start looking at this at the very point where we're introducing the new exercises. This is Maria and Sarah from Florham Park. The next person you'll see will be Carol Pinella from Livingston, who were the peer leaders setting up the exercises. And it's not that we tried to have them make a little mistake here and there. Each of them was doing their best, but you know how sometimes when you're on TV or on you may not do things perfectly. So that was what we were hoping would happen, so that we would be able to see how to do things. So here we are. I'm just going to start right now. So 3 minutes. Flex your foot up and down to give you flexibility in your ankle. And now let's make some circles, going clockwise, building a lot of flexibility in that ankle. And then counterclockwise. Good. And we would do it on the other foot, but I think this is enough right now.
And so again, in order to keep proper body alignment, you want to engage your core, bring your shoulders back and relax, bring your foot up, and then think about pressing the accelerator on the car as you bring your foot up and down, and then making circles to the right, and then to the left. Very good.
Do our stretches with building some flexibility into our hands, fingers, and wrists. So just raise your hands a little bit and move them in various ways. So for example, you might close your fingers and slowly open them. do that again. You might have your hands facing forward. Lift your thumbs, bring them down, and then just move your fingers around as if you're playing a piano in all different positions, just to get some flexibility into your fingers. And you can move your wrists as well. That's good. Okay, great. And now let's get ready for an exercise that will work not only on your hands and wrists, but your arms. So bring your fingers together as if in prayer. Hold that position, and then raise your arms straight up over your head. Open your palms, bring them down in a nice wide arch. You'll feel that in your shoulders. And return to that prayer position. And now we'll do the reverse. So coming down and opening up, relaxing our shoulders, reaching high and coming down. Very nice, Carol.
That was beautiful, Carol. The thing you want to think about, this is just a gentle stretch, so there's no need to push. You're just putting your hands lightly together. You're stretching your wrists a little bit, coming up, reach up, and open, and together. Perfect. And at the same time, we want to hopefully have our core contracted, our shoulder blades slightly pinched together, opening up our chest, and we go back up through, down, and around. And then we're going to reverse it. So we're going to go down, up, and return to the starting position. Very good.
Now for our overhead. Hey, so I saw you all doing that, because I had little things and I was doing the same thing. That's great. Since we're a little bit ahead of our time right now, I wonder if I could tell you how we have begun doing it in our class. So we start, I think you might be able to see me, we start with just our fingers in the air, moving our fingers around to get circulation going. And then from that freedom, we kind of move into constriction. So I'll just stand up so you can see. We put our elbows at our side. And then we have our wrists, palms facing up and down. And by keeping our elbows at our side, we're using our wrists to turn rather than our arms. And so once we've done that, we finish with our palms up. And then we take our thumb of the right hand and bring it to the base. Let's see if I can try to show you this a little bit. The base of my little finger, my ring finger, my middle finger, and my index finger. And I can go back if I want to, and I do it on the other side. So little finger, ring finger, middle, and index. And then because I'm using my fingers, I put my hands together as Carol did, and just bring my thumbs down to touch the tops of my index fingers. And then we make a little fist. Everything is very gentle, because we have over 30 muscles in our hands, 27 bones, so we don't want to push really hard. It's really just getting some flexibility. And one of the things that I came across myself just like a week ago, I was feeling kind of down because I was coughing and everything. So I was doing the exercises and I took my thumb and my index finger and just massaged them gently. It's the same thing that you see with people who are doing the in yoga. And I said, oh, how much feeling there is in those fingers. And I felt so calm. I was really happy with that. And then, of course, we went into the prayer pose, which really is a wonderful kind of like all upper body exercise, going straight up and then opening. And even, when we come down to our original position and then reverse it, you feel different muscles being used. It's really like a great gift. It's a wonderful part of the program. So in any case, that gives us a little bit of an idea of how things are going. Again, because we have still a little bit of time, I'm going to see if I can screen share that again. I don't see it up there right now. But in any case, I'm sorry. It's because I was going to show you the setup for the arms forward and back, because we're trying to limit that going up. I don't know how to get back to that. So in any case, we'll just go on with our slides. We're almost finished. Good. And so we come to the point where we want to say, now that we have these changes in the manual and we have the master class, how are we going to share that with people in our classes, which is, of course, our goal. So to begin with, every peer leader and coordinator can watch this meeting because it's being recorded. And as I mentioned before, it will be available Monday the 20th, because the person, Jamie, who was here at the beginning, is away at a conference, and she won't be back in her office to do the final things for sending it to us. But you'll always have this to share in part with your people or to watch again. And then just a reminder, everybody should be given the digital participant manual and the MP4 class for the exercises. Now, if you're a lead coordinator, what could you do? Like, you might be able to have a leading for your peer leaders, and that will help them ensure that they are up to date with everything. You could send the recording of the master class and this to the peer leaders who are not at the meeting. They can watch it. I'll, of course, be sending that too, but I don't have everybody's name and email, so I can't reach everybody at this point. If you're a peer leader, you might get together as a group. There might be 2 or 3 or 4 of you who are leaders in the class, and plan how you would like to introduce it. You can use your class time wisely. You could have, for example, a short exercise class with the rest of the time set aside for watching the master class as a whole or as in a segment. So, for example, if you were doing your regular class and you set aside maybe 10 minutes for education, in 10 minutes you could see the part of the exercise of the master class that would cover certain exercises. And then you could still be doing your full program. You can introduce the exercise changes in your class kind of naturally because they're so simple. It's really just the 2 different steps, tandem stand and the heel raise, and then the stretches, which everybody loves, so that's an easy thing to do. The more challenging thing, I think, is to learn how to make the transition to digital technology. If you are blessed and lucky enough to have a peer leader or even a person in your class who's really good with technology, you can have them try to help you. And there are even classes in libraries. School kids who need service credits for graduating are often glad to help seniors. So there are different ways of trying to make things move forward. Now, what's next? So you can begin using your manual and the new materials now. If you've got classes that are starting in 2024, you can start them then. That's natural to do. And you can reach out to your lead coordinator or program coordinator if you need some help. Don't be afraid to ask. I'll go through this slide, but there was one little analogy I wanted to give you that would help you with the education. So just so you know, the Department of Human Services, let me make this slide a little bit bigger. Sorry, there we go. The Department of Human Services, the Division of Aging Services, is finishing adding resources to this wonderful digital library that you will have access to because you're a peer leader and a coordinator the first week of December. And we'll have another webinar like this that will show you exactly how you get into it, how you use it, and what's in there. So Heather goes on because this is her slide. The portal will contain everything you need for success: your manuals, program forms, educational resources, things pertaining to peer leader training, sample certificates, flyers, brochures, wonderful, So it's like walking into a new Carnegie library, but now it's a bone health library. And if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to Heather. And let me see, I think that there's, of course, this one slide. So any questions, we'll talk about that in a second. So thank you again so much for your continued dedication and leadership. I can't emphasize that enough. Patience when you've been working with new things like the new manuals, the new library. It's really just what you have always done, and we count on you for doing it in the future. So we appreciate very much the work that you do every day in your classes. You really are making a difference in the lives of participants. Just think of that one hand up there, waiting for the clapping, and then all of a sudden it comes. So I forgot to mention something. The manual took a lot of work, and there were people who were very helpful in doing it. Nancy Romaine from the Florham Park class, Kathleen Morgan, who's a retired professor from Rutgers. Anita Van Wingerden helped. Jamie Hawkins, who was the coordinator who helped set up this program, helped so that she could give us a participant's point of view, like, do we have the right tone and so on. Lori Morell from Parker helped. Lori Harbison from Interfaith. So it's the work of a lot of people, and especially the work of Heather Taylor, who is our person in the Division of Aging Services. She did all the formatting. She came up with a lot of the different ideas. It's really great. I'd like to see if, let's see, I think I'm still looking at time, but in any case, I'd like to take a minute just to say this. I was trying to think of a way to have you be able to convey to people in your class that the change to digital resources is not scary. So I was thinking of, let's say, we're taking a walk along a road, and it's kind of like a plain road, you know, and that's like our old manual or our old way. And we look ahead and there's a big mall in front of us. So we say, maybe some time for some shopping. And you walk in and there's Bloomingdale's, and you say, I wonder if I can find a Vitamix here, or maybe I could get some nail polish. I'm not sure if I can find that in Bloomingdale's. So of course you're at this great site, you know, this great place, but you have to ask if it's available there and where you would get it elsewhere. And then you see a card shop and you say, holy mackerel, you know, Thanksgiving's coming up, Hanukkah, Christmas, I need some cards. But the friends you're walking with are saying, I need a retirement card, or I need a birthday card for my 4-year-old grandson. So you have to ask. You might see all the displays for the holiday cards, but you have to ask where you would find the other things. And let's say that you pass a wine shop. Well, you know, we can go in and take a little look, but we're probably going to have to ask, where's the Italian wine? Or do you have any French wine? Or how about Australian wine? Where can I find a good rosé? So when you come to these sites, so to speak, that we're talking about here, it's not that it gives you all the answers, but it means that you have people with like a little word that you could put in there, like calcium or vitamin D, that will take you to the section you want. Same thing, let's say you're getting hungry now that you've been in that wine shop, and you come right into a pizza place. You know, you sit down at your table, and it's not that you sit down at the table and there's a wonderful pizza right in front of you and you can start eating it. You have to look at the menu, you have to decide what kind of pizza you want and so on. So it's not that when we use digital resources, everything is given to us. We have to sometimes ask, or sometimes look a little further. So that's the kind of thing that might be able to help you introduce this to your people. Okay, I can stop screen sharing now. So any questions that you have, we're really very open to it, because we've all worked on it for such a long time that maybe we can't see the forest for the trees, but we really want to know what challenges you might find in your classes, or how you think that this could help you.
On the educational part, okay, should it be exactly 24 weeks? As you show us, it's only 18 weeks.
Right. That's a good question. We're trying to give you as much, I don't want to say authority, but decision-making as you want. For example, in your class, you may find that 3 weeks on nutrition is all you need. We were just trying to spread it out, and it went to about 18 weeks if we were doing 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, because sometimes there will be, let's say, a holiday, so you don't have class, or sometimes you've got a guest speaker, or you're doing something different. So it's just kind of like a guideline. That's what almost everything is. It's not hardened, to the point you must do it that way, because you have your own personality, you have your own rapport with your participants, and you'll know what's best for you and for them. So you have a lot of control, so to speak, and generous control, so you can do what you want. That was a good question. Yeah. Okay, and Eileen, if you want to go to your question.
When will the Spanish version of the manual be available? Do you know?
Heather's going to answer that question, I think.
That's a good question. I would say the safest thing to say would be by the beginning of next year, hopefully. I would say like by January, just to give them time to complete everything and make sure the everything translates correctly.
Okay. And
Right.
one other thing, you were mentioning something before about the forward and back, arms forward and back. What were you going to show us?
Yeah, Eileen, I'm glad that you brought that up, because it's a really important point. That's the one exercise where we, have difficulty doing it correctly. And it's because we think of it as an arm exercise, arms forward and back. And we can all, I'll just kind of stand up. I know you'll miss part of me, but in any case, just going up like this, we can all go up this high, but we know that this is 90 degrees and we're supposed to be down at 45. So what we're trying to think of it as a shoulder strengthening, arms forward and back. So if you could try to mention, and Anita has covered this in the masterclass, if you can try to think of standing in good posture with your shoulders back, your chest nice and strong, and then try to think of your shoulders as muscles that are not supposed to be moving. So when you begin to raise your arm too much, you're pulling your shoulder forward and we've lost the form. So you want to, I'm trying to get back so you can see that. So you want to keep your arm right here. And that limits, truthfully, how far you can bring your arm up without losing your form. Same thing back, but of course we can take our arm back too far. So if you could try to think of it in the umbrella, so to speak, of your shoulders governing the movement. And even on the exercise before that, the arms, the shoulders back, again, or I think we call it the arms back exercise, but it's our shoulders that are supposed to bring our shoulders back. It's not that we're moving our arms to do it. Our arms are kind of like friends and just sitting there watching. Shoulders bring themselves back just like that, and then slowly release. So it's an effort, again, on Anita's part, to help us use our exercises to actually strengthen these chest, pectoral muscles right here that are so over or underused because we're using our devices so much now. Good. I hope that helps, Eileen.
Yep, thank you.
Great. Yeah, Linda, hi.
Hi, I'm sorry, I must have missed a step. How do I access the master class?
Okay, I sent an email last night with the link to this meeting, and at the bottom of it were the links to the what we call the heavier version for showing on a big screen, and then the lighter version, which would be just for looking at it. So the links are right there. All you have to do is
Okay.
click on them. Yeah, good. Okay, great.
And also, will hard copies be available
Ah,
to participants?
yeah, you know what? That's a problem. Everybody will have and can share the digital version, but it's the sponsoring agency, like for example, NorWestCap or Interfaith or Parker, who will have to probably do the printing for you. And in some of my classes, those who want to have the hard copy, Livingston has agreed that they would make copies for us. And the cost is about $5, which is a good price because there's a lot of color in there. But there's no way for everybody to get it for free. It has to come from really your sponsoring agency. So,
Okay,
good.
I think Cheryl and I talked about that, so, okay, thank you.
And everybody may not want a hard copy, but I'll tell you, when you see it, you think, hey, now I see this a little bit better and I can do it. But the master class is just a precious gift to all of us. I have to tell you that I'm so happy we have it. And I really would like to, now that we have a little bit of time, I really want to thank Heather and Andrew, actually, her partner there, for all the support that they've given us, and especially Heather with the slide presentation for today, with the look at the manual, with everything. And that's a lot of work on their part. And you'll find that they're going to be very helpful as we open up that digital library. We should probably have like a christening or something like that of the building. But you'll find that we'll have a lot of resources. Okay, I see Marlis's hand coming up. Yes. You'll have to unmute yourself. Marlis. Good. Okay, great. Oh, good. Okay.
If I ask my class how many would want to send $5 or donate $5 to get a hard copy, would that be possible then to get it from NorWestCap? Because not everybody is going to want it digitally.
Right. Yeah. Cheryl's on here, so you can ask Cheryl. She'll see what she can do. But it would almost be as if somehow postage might have to be paid or so on. But let's discuss that offline. But Cheryl will support you because she's NorWestCap.
Are they
Okay.
talking about hard copies of the master class or the manuals?
The
Man-
manual, I think.
Manual.
Oh, okay, yeah, because the master class doesn't make sense to be in hard copy.
There's no possibility of having it be in copy. It's a digital product.
Yeah, right.
And then I want to also thank Delia. You can't imagine the time that she and her husband have put on everything we've been doing. Okay, any other questions?
I
Sally,
have a question. How would I go about ordering one of the hard copy manuals? Is there a person that I should contact for that, or a phone number that you would have?
And Pat, where is your class?
My class is in South Plainfield.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Staples, $20.
And
No.
I just want one copy, and then I could make
Yeah.
copies, I guess.
Yeah. Pat, I would say that you probably need to ask at the senior center if they would copy it.
Well, but I would want one original. I don't have an original of the updated manual.
Yeah, but you would have the digital version, and you could email it to them, and that would make for a much better final output.
Okay.
And I see Theola on. She's been very helpful from representing Somerset County. That's great. Good. It's a good question, Pat. Yeah, it's a little bit hard. Okay. Any other questions?
Sally,
Yes.
it's Maria. I don't have my camera on. Just so you know, someone asked in the chat, she already left. It was Ann Pepe from Long Island Health
Mhm.
Department. She said the quadricep stretch exercise, most people cannot do that. Are there any other options?
Thank you, Marie, for asking that. I'll ask Anita if there is anything else. But no, we're talking about a stretch. So it's not that it's a major exercise, but the idea of trying to relax your muscles in your quadricep area is really so important. Perhaps you could tell her that she could do it, again, I'll just kind of stand up to do it. And instead of grabbing your foot, and bringing it all the way up like this, you could just have it be up to a point where you feel that there's some relaxation of your muscles. But that's kind of like a critical
Yeah.
stretch. Yeah.
And I'll reach out to Anita too, because we have some people in some of our classes that they just put their leg up on a chair, but I want to make sure that that would actually be okay before I suggest that to everyone else.
Yeah. Now,
So I just wanted to
yeah,
run that by you.
and people
And
can't
Sally,
see
I just want
Maria
to chime in
because-
on that real quick. In the Move Today program, that stretch is also in there, the one that Margie created.
Mhm, yes.
And she actually has 3 options for that one. So it's either you hold your ankle, the pant leg, or they can just hold their leg in place as high as they can. That's what Margie does for the Move Today program.
Thanks, Heather. There's one
Thanks,
other
Sally.
way I'm thinking of it too, that you could use a like a, what do they call it, a stretch band, like that you would exercise with.
A
You might be
resistance
able to do
band.
that and pull that, but that's a little bit risky. Uh-huh.
Sally, can you hear me? It's Marilyn. I'm with Jackie Tepperman.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
There is another way to do the quad stretch on a chair. You sit so that your leg is hanging down. And then you can grab your foot and bring it up behind you as far as you can.
Mhm.
And it's easier because you're sitting. It's not that you're
Not-
trying to balance on one leg while you're trying to lift
Yeah.
up the other one.
Good, yeah. We always wanted, we always want to take care to do a stretch or an exercise safely, as long as they can hold on. Now, if I could mention one other thing, Maria Sergio asked that question about the stretch, and Maria has spent a lot of time on a page that will be kind of like that I sent you, that's kind of supplemental, but it shows a picture of a figure and what muscles are used in each of our strength training exercises and the functional everyday benefits. So it's one of the key documents that I sent that first time, and it's very, very good. There's one other thing. I did have a couple other things I forgot to mention, that it's so important for us to have our feet flat on the floor as we're doing the exercises, especially when we're sitting, because that can help us keep our back straight. And we want to count, and I use the word protectively, on the tandem walk and the waiter's walk. It's as if you focus on the person who is most unstable. so that that person can move safely forward. So it's kind of slow. One of the peer leaders came up with a suggestion for using a metronome just to get in the habit. And on that waiter's walk and the tandem walk, he had suggested that be about 20 beats per minute. So all you would need to do is, go to your search engine on your phone and say metronome 20 beats per minute or something like that, and it comes right up. So it's 1 and 2, so you see that slower count. So that's a way of trying to understand where you can get some help to make sure that your counting is fine.
Sally, can I just say something? So I printed out the manual, the new manual, and I just want to say to Heather and Andrew, it's really well done. I really like it. It's very approachable. But I did want to mention, though, when I did print it out, well, I don't know if you could see it, there are some pages that are blank. So I just wanted to let Heather know that. And I mean, they're blank, but they're numbered. So I'm saying, so if there's quite a few.
Yeah,
It's
so
because it's meant to print double-sided.
yeah, print front and back.
Oh, okay.
Great.
Mhm.
Okay. That's a quick fix.
No, but especially like if you're, if people are, because, cost per page. So I just
Right.
wanted to point it out, but otherwise.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we'll put that in the email to make that more clear, when people are printing that it should be printed double-sided.
Good,
Right,
good. That's
right,
great.
When you're printing per page, it's the cost.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that.
Great. Okay, good.
Sally, I do have one more thing, and I'm sorry, and I don't know if this is the right place or if I should take it to the council, but I'm just going to bring it up. I did notice another change from the old peer leader manual to this one is that there is no example of a certificate of completion.
Oh, good.
So
That's a good question because it's easy to answer. It's
Okay.
because that would be in the peer leader manual.
right,
Yeah,
but it
and we'll
used to
double
be
check
in the
there.
no, that's what I'm saying. It's not in the peer leader manual.
Oh, okay. Then we'll just double check and make sure that there's a sample in there. Good point. So
Okay.
Heather's listening, so we'll add that. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have it. So yeah, if it's not in there for some reason, that was definitely an oversight. But yeah, we do have it,
Okay.
and it is going to be on the portal as well.
Right.
Perfect. Thanks, Heather.
And then again, since Heather is on here and we're working together on this, I felt that in our participant manual that there were just like, it's almost like back to back, one page and then another page that were a little bit missing. So it's how you would work with a new class in terms of the educational material, how you would work with an existing class, because there's much more of a choice because you've already covered some of the things, but just different suggestions that we're going to add to the manual, maybe in the resource section or something like that. But I sent those to you again last night so that you would have them, and they're kind of part of our total manual. Anything else?
Sally, it's Eileen again.
Yeah.
Do you have a summary of the changes to the peer leader and lead coordinator manuals?
We wanted to focus mostly on the participant right now, but
Right.
we don't necessarily have that, but we can get that for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Delia has a question now.
Yeah, Sally, you mentioned about the counting on the waiters walk and tandem stand. I believe people may be, okay, my suggestion is to slow down in counting for the 4-step square.
Oh, yes, that's a good point. That's right. Yeah. What happens is that as we're working with our classes, week after week, year after year, in a sense, we're able to move very quickly, but we should always keep in mind the safety of our people and just move a little bit forward more slowly. So that's a very valid point and a good point, Delia. Thank you.
Use your hands sometimes.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Sally?
Yes.
Sally, it's Margarita.
Yeah, Margaret. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to go back a little bit to the quad stretch.
Mhm.
And in our class, we've been doing using some of the people have been using the like a belt strap, to stretch the quad, and other people have been doing the chair quad stretch, but which is I think a safer way of doing it. But I just wanted to uh, add that if you're doing the chair quad stretch, that you're bending the knee on the chair, but the quad has the upper part of the quad, unless you're bringing your hips forward, you're not stretching the top part of your quad. So we've been sort of, saying during the class, just make sure that you're really nice and straight, you're not bent at the hips. So I just wanted to point that, and maybe Anita can look into that and
Good.
see what she thinks of it.
Thank you, Margarita. Thank you. Good, great. Okay. Anything else that? Good. Carol Juth, it's nice to see you here. I see your name, and Linda Cornell and Anne from Livingston. That's great. Yeah, good. Paula, good. Right. So, okay, so I think that we can call the meeting. Oh, Kathy. Kathy, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
We're, as peer leaders, we're supposed to email or forward the participant manual to all our participants?
Yeah, I mean, like, how many participants do you have in your class?
13.
Yeah. Do you ever send like a class email? You
Yes,
probably
I do. I have, for one class that I'm a peer leader, I do have a group email thing where I send out things to everyone.
Yeah. So all you would need to do would be to send that digital version, that little icon of the peer leader, of the participant manual, and just say, here's our new manual. If you'd like to look at it, you'll find interesting things. And then you can even take some of the things that we've talked about today that could be points that you would want to stress with them.
Okay, because they're not going to be just giving out a printed version for everyone.
Well,
That's
Kathy,
not how it's going to work.
Kathy, where do you meet at? You in Orange County?
Yes,
I sent out
I'm from Chester and Long Valley.
hey, I sent out an email from Northwest Cap myself. Anybody comes under Northwest Cap license, I will print the manual for you for the peer leader and the participants. I just need all your numbers.
Okay, so I'll get that together and send the numbers to you. I'll ask the people who want a printed version and who will be willing to have the digital version. And I'll get back to you on how many I would want. Thank you.
Great, Kathy. Great.
Thanks.
Delia, are you saying goodbye or you have a question?
No, I have a question. I have another suggestion. Many times when I watch people doing the exercise, especially the reverse leg raise, their thigh, should be aligned. But most of the time, their thigh is farther away from the thigh. Can all the leaders be able to correct that?
Delia, is that on the back leg lift?
Reverse leg raise.
Oh, okay. So that's part of the balance exercises then. Right?
Correct. Balance exercise.
Yeah, okay, good. Yes.
Posture is not properly done. Most of the time they forget.
All right. So to stand up nice and tall, again, good chance to open your chest muscles. And then just raise the bottom
leg. But
leg, yeah.
then, Sally, they have to keep their thighs aligned.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, because if the leg that's moving, if that's getting forward a little bit, it's just like walking, the same position as walking. So it's when you can keep your thighs aligned, parallel, that you're strengthening the quadricep muscles as you're doing that stretch. I see Jackie raising her head, yes, because she knows she's part of that setup team. Good. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Julia. Okay. So again, just to conclude in this sense, it's wonderful. I really appreciate your coming as a chance to be together and to share these different ideas and to move us forward into our 26th year, 27th, 28th lying ahead. Great. Okay, good. So I think that we can end it now. And again, I thank you for everything.